How are you today? It's glad to see that some of you were brave enough to come back after eating your fantastic lunch. So, we're going to be talking about how to create attention-grabbing content for you to be able to use on social media and your blog. So, by a quick show of hands, everybody let me know by raising your hand really high if you currently have in your marketing plan to use social media to get more attention, to get more customers, and to get more leads. Raise your hand really high. Okay, hands down. Now, raise your hand again if you would like the idea by the end of this presentation to be able to have more leads, more revenue, and more visibility on how you use social media. Raise your hands. Okay, well, very good. I'm so glad that you guys are here. You are in the right place. So, the one thing that I have found to be true as I have been in this journey of life and business, and that is no matter where you live, no matter where you call home, no matter whether you've been in business for 16 years or for 16 minutes, we all have the same amount of time in every single day. And so the reality is, many people think that social media is a waste of time. Many people might think that social media is going to just eventually go away. We don't want to waste our time and kind of be bothered with that thing called Twitter and Instagram and all of those things. But what I want to encourage you to know is that social media is very powerful. And because we have a limited amount of time, I want you to be able to leave today's session by saying, I learned something today that maybe there are 2 or 3 golden nuggets that either myself or my team or someone that we could possibly hire to come and help us will be able to actually show up and use social media to be able to get that attention-grabbing content that we all want. And that same is true for your blog. So the reality is people have choices. Whether you are a hotel, whether you have an amazing service where people can come and choose to go kayaking, or people can explore beaches or the backwaters of the beautiful area that we have around us, people have options. If you want to go on a cruise, you have multiple choices. And so what we have to do is this one really, really important thing, and that is that we have to get those people's attention. So before we dive into this, and I want to kind of give you a little bit of a background of a little bit of my story. I am from the United States, and oftentimes when I say, oh, I'm from the U.S., you might be thinking of really fun, cool places. You might be thinking of New York, which would be right over here on the top. You might be otherwise thinking of Los Angeles, which is far out west in California. No, I don't live in either of those cool places. I live right here where the blue dot is in South Carolina, probably closest to Florida if you are trying to think of the U.S. And so that's a little bit of a backdrop about me, but the journey of using social media to grow my business has been one that I didn't just Google and say, how do I do this? How can I get on page 1 like Sean talked about with SEO, and how can I get people to pay me attention? I actually showed up, started learning about social media, but was applying it in my own business. So I've had the ability to not make social media work with one business, but with 2, and both from the scratch, from the ground up, and all using the platforms of Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So here's a little glimpse of my family. I've been married almost 17 years, and I've got 3 kiddos that definitely keep me busy, but they were excited that I was going to be able to come to visit India for the first time. And the thing that we all have to do when we want to show up is we have a job to get people to stop scrolling. Because the reality is people are at the grocery store. They're in the back seat of someone's car and they're driving down the road. They're sitting on the sofa. They are either on vacation at the beach and they're scrolling on their phones. They're doing a lot of things, but people are leveraging blogs and social media to find what's happening, What's going on? What could I potentially come to be involved in? And so that is our job to say, what can we create when we want to show up on social media that's going to get people to stop the scroll? What's going to catch their attention? So I am a simple girl. I like to keep things really simple. And so as we're going through, not everything that I'm going to be talking to you about is rocket science. In fact, social media and being able to build 2 six-figure businesses on the back of blogging and social media has all come from keeping things simple, and you are going to be able to go and apply a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about today. Now, since we're talking about social media, and since this entire conference has encouraged people to pull out their phones, I want you to take videos, take photos, think of tweetable things or one-liners of anything that you've gained, and make sure that you use the ICTT 2019 hashtag. And if you are on Instagram or Twitter, that is my username for Heather Heuman. So the next slide, which is blank, is what I want to really focus on, and that's this idea of keeping things real. I like to think of this as an acronym, and I'm going to explain to you what this means. But social media done well is about realizing that the people on the other end of that phone, that we want them to actually stop scrolling to see what we may be having going on in our hotel, or what really cool, exciting activities that we may have to offer them. We want to keep those relationships at the forefront of our digital marketing strategy and realize that there are real people with real lives that have real problems, and that we may be a part of the solution that they have. So here's a little bit more. I told you guys I'm from Columbia, South Carolina, but that's all I said. But in these 6 photos gives you a little bit more of a glimpse of what my town looks like. Football, business, the river, going out at the lake, jumping off of the boats, and you'll see churches on probably almost every single street corner. And so there are people, just like that was a little bit of a glimpse of my life, the people that you want to come and stay in your hotel have lives. They have kids. They have good things happening in their lives. They have hard things happening in their lives, just like each and every one of us do. So the REAL acronym stands for relationships, educate, entertain, and engage, being authentic, and actually remembering that the long game wins. So when I talk about relationships, I'm simply meaning we want to show up on social media in such a way that we allow people to realize that we actually care, that we aren't just looking for the bottom line and we just want them to pull out their credit card. We don't want them just to come to our hotel once. We want to create an experience. So when we come down to the front desk and say, you know, I've got this special situation that's happening. Hey, I forgot this. Do you happen to have shampoo? Like, we want them to be wowed, and we want them to not just come once, but we want them to come back again. And then we want them to go tell all their friends and say, hey, if you're looking for a fantastic hotel, or if you're looking for this amazing place to have your wedding, here are these different opportunities. And when more people are having great experiences about your business, they will go to social media and they will tell their family and they will tell their friends, and it gives you more of the social proof that we all want. Educate, entertain, and engage. Those are kind of like the 3 E's. If you're sitting there saying to yourself, what on earth could we be posting about to get people's attention? How can you educate your audience? One of my clients back in South Carolina has some hotels that advertise with them. And a part of my tasks prior to coming out of town was to go and spotlight one of those hotels. So I'm over on their Facebook page, kind of like doing research, wanting to say, like, here's a great hotel, a great place to stay. But here's what I found. I found the last time they posted on Facebook was April of 2018. The next thing I found were reviews that were saying that people had terrible experiences. Now, keep in mind, I was wanting to be like a cheerleader for this hotel, and all I am finding on their own social Facebook page was not very good. And so it's really important to remember people are checking you out. Your Facebook page or your blog post or your Twitter feed, these can be sometimes first glances of someone possibly checking you out. So your job can be to show up and educate them on why they might want to come and do business with you. And you can entertain them. You know, the huge thing I love about social media is that we realize that people are people. And so if you are a hotel, but maybe you are in a town that hopefully has other fantastic, exciting things happening, that you can spotlight those other events and you can spotlight artists or music venues or things that are happening to encourage other people to go out and to explore and to have good times. And then to engage. There is nothing worse than wanting to go and reach out to a business on social media to ask that question and you're waiting to literally spend money, and then you have the experience that they don't respond or days or weeks go by. And the truth is, we live in this instant gratification type of society. And when it comes to social media, it would be in all of our best interest to say we want to be consistent and we want to respond and engage with other people. And just, you want to be authentic. So what is your story? What does that look like? And all of us might have brands or businesses that may be similar to others that are in the room. And that's something that is a reality check that we have to say, yes, I am not the only hotel in my town, or I am not the only restaurant, or I'm not the only tour company. So what you want to do is just authentically show up and display the great things that you do have going for you and helping tell that story on social media as well as your blog. And then I always like to encourage people to realize that social media is a long-term play. It is not necessarily, in my opinion, the sprint. It's more of the marathon. It is the, I want to show up, and I realize that people now that might be seeing my content and that may be checking out this video, they may not necessarily be looking for a hotel to stay in today, but they very well might be 2 months from now or 6 months from now or even 2 years from now. So I always like to encourage people that your social media marketing strategy is most effective when you show up as the leader of your organization and say, we want to show up on the long term and really demonstrate that to our community. So if you get one takeaway from my time talking with you today, it's this. The more that you think like your customers and you show up on social media and in your blog content, the better you are going to be able to serve them. So we're going to take a break here for about 15 seconds. Don't everybody run out. I don't mean like a leave break, but a 15-second pause. If I ask you this one question, I want you to really process it and see if you can come up with one answer. Here's the question. What is a question that you in your business get asked over and over and over again by potential customers? Hopefully, if you've been in business for any length of time, whether you just started or you've been in business for decades, you have something that you get asked repeatedly. Heather, what should I be posting on Facebook? Heather, how often should I post? Heather, what's better, photos or videos? Heather, should I use links on Facebook? Like, those are just some questions that I get asked over and over and over in my business. So when you show up and you want this attention-grabbing content, the very easiest thing you can do is say, what are my customers thinking? What questions do they have? Here are those questions. Now let's show up on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and let us have content that answers those questions. Like simple. Like, let's not overcomplicate it. These are the problems they have. We know that we have a solution, but we want to frame it all in a way that doesn't say, hey, this is what my bottom line's about. I need more revenue. It's about me, me, me. We want to flip our mindset and say, what's best for my customers? What do they need? What problems are keeping them up at night around the solutions that we know that we can provide? So let's talk about copy and let's talk about messaging and how that is so, so important as it relates to your social media. So your customers and audience are hungry for their questions to be answered. Just talked about that. And so when I say copy, I literally just mean, for example, on social media, like the words that appear. And really simple things make a huge difference. So if you make this fantastic video, whether you do it simply with your iPhone or whether you have a production team and you're using drones, you want to have that video, but you want to have a sentence on social media that also gets posted with that video that's going to get someone to stop scrolling, that's going to get them to click the video to watch it. So in my business, to give you an example, if I have a video, I could go on and talk about social media strategy. And if I put no caption, or if I just go grab like 5 paragraphs of information, like people's eyes, they just like gloss over and they keep reading. But if the one sentence before the video says, here's the number one mistake most businesses make every single day on Instagram. It's short. It might intrigue you if you are using Instagram, and it's very clear on what the video is going to be about. So when you're making videos or you're making posts on social media, and we realize we've already talked about everyone's really busy and they're on the go and we want to get their attention, you want to use messaging that relates to your audience. Now, we aren't really talking a lot about that today in my presentation, but when you know who you're serving and you know who you want to be calling to book and make reservations and to work with you, and that's maybe like an ideal fit for what it is that you have to offer, it makes your messaging so much easier. Because if your messaging on social media is trying to, let's say, attract people that are 60 plus, well, your language and the word choices and your nuances are not going to be the same as if you were trying to reach young millennials. In fact, you might not even be on the exact same social media platform. And in case anybody here wanted permission to realize that you don't have to be on every single social platform, I am here today to give you permission. In fact, I'm the first person to tell you that one of the biggest mistakes that I see companies make is they say, okay, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, TikTok, all the things. All of those have a lot of people. We want to have a lot of business. So let's go out there and get all of those usernames and let's go out there and try to do social media on all of those places. And if you have the team and if you have the resources, and depending on the size of your company, you may ultimately get to that place that you are on many places. But many brands make the big mistake of trying to be in all of those places, starting to say that social media is sucking their life away and that they hate social media, and then they end up not posting for weeks, for months, and then they abandon their own first impression on all of these places. So I would like to encourage you to say that pick your top 1 or your top 2 social media platforms, and I'm not necessarily counting YouTube in that when I am talking about that, and ask yourself, where are our customers already spending time? That is where you should focus and go when you're trying to identify which social platforms to focus on. And if you want to have a presence on those other platforms, that's fine. But what I'd love for you to do is say you have 2 hours a week that you're going to dedicate to your social media. I want you to dedicate 80% of those 2 hours to your number 1 or maybe your number 2 platforms. And I want you to look really awesome on those 1 or 2 platforms. And then if you want to like sprinkle on the others to have an active, consistent presence, then that's great. But what I don't want to see is have you on 5 social platforms, but you just look average and really not that impressive. Because as we alluded to earlier, people have choices. And so when you are posting and aren't having good content and you're not using great videos and you're not responding to people's messages, but your competitors are, or someone else down the street is doing X, Y, and Z, and they do look really impressive on a particular platform, people are going to say, which one meets my needs? And they will oftentimes go with the one that seems more relevant because of how often the brand is showing up and the type of content that they're putting out. So by a quick show of hands, who here uses and likes and enjoys hashtags? Okay, one of you. Just kidding. Not that many, but I just wanted to take just a few minutes to just explain briefly what hashtags are and just kind of share with you a little bit of hashtag strategy. So hashtags, in short, are keywords all put together with no spaces that have the pound sign at the beginning. And why these are really popular, especially in social media, is because people put those keywords together and they go to the search bar and they can search for a particular topic. And so then they find posts and they find brands and they find content by people that they otherwise may not follow. So case in point, I am here at ICTT 2019. So I, on Instagram and on Twitter for the last 2 days, have gone and typed in that hashtag for this event, seen content by people otherwise I never would have known or met, and have been able to engage with them and comment with them and add them to a list I have for people that are attending this conference. And so beyond this time that I'm up here on stage for 45 minutes, I have the ability to stay connected with those people that I otherwise did not know prior to the hashtag. So I just did a couple quick keyword hashtag researches on Instagram. And even if you don't use Instagram, it's a fantastic tool to go and use their search bar within the app. And that is where I got these numbers. So you'll see there, Corella has 6 million uses. That's not 6 million people. It means that that hashtag has been used that many times. And then all the way down, we have India Undiscovered at 69,000, and we have Tourism India at 27,000. So just to kind of give you a point of reference, the hashtags at the very top that have millions and millions of people that have used that hashtag are so popular that they will oftentimes have a lot of spam followers, and they will move so fast that your content will most likely never be seen. So on this next slide, I've kind of broken it down into 3 categories: small, medium, and large. And so small, we've got the hashtags that have been used under 100,000 times. So Tourism India and India Undiscovered go in that category. Medium, we have 2 others, and that's pretty much like 100,000 to roughly 600,000. And then large is pretty much 600,000 and up. And I broke those down because if you were, for example, on Instagram to say, we're allowed to use 30 hashtags, that's going to allow us to have more of an opportunity to allow people to find our content that otherwise might not know us. I would say to you that you could use 10 of small hashtags, 10 medium hashtags, and 10 large hashtags. And you can use up to 30. You don't have to, but just to kind of give you an idea of how I would personally break it down. And what you ultimately have to do with hashtags is you have to do your research. So if you are a locally based business, wherever you are, you want to be using hashtags that are very relevant to that specific geographic region. if that's something that you are interested in. But there are so many other hashtags. You can look inside of the toolbar. And for example, if you just typed in travel real India, as soon as you type that up, right across the top, other hashtags that are also very relevant and used by a lot of those same people also pop up. So the fun with hashtags, I just want to tell you, is always be testing. What works for you is not going to be the exact same thing that works for someone else, and you can always switch them out. You could basically have 3 different sets of 30, 30, and 30, and you could rotate them and start to pay attention to your analytics. Because I think social media is super powerful, but I'm always wanting to encourage business owners and brands to look at the data. What do the numbers say? Don't just do what Heather said. Don't just look at some research, but look at what your audience is looking for and what seems to be resonating. And then just a quick point, hashtags are not equal on all social platforms. On LinkedIn and Twitter, if you are on those platforms, it would be completely fine for you to use between 2 to 3 hashtags on any post. It would not be okay for you to do 30 hashtags on LinkedIn or Twitter because you would be seen as very spammy, and I don't want anybody to accidentally go into the spam category. However, on the culture of Instagram, hashtags are the cool thing to do. So you can use up to 30 hashtags, and some research shows that people have great success using 11. And the other thought is if you have the ability to use 30, and every hashtag allows you to possibly get in front of more of your ideal customers, why not use all 30? So I'm going to leave that up to you to decide, but just want to kind of put that information out there to just kind of give you a little bit of an idea on the culture of hashtags. So again, when we think about getting attention-grabbing content, something that I think many business owners overlook are these 4 ways for you to get more people to know about what you do. So collaboration, that may look a lot like you think of what your business is and you think of the customers that you would love to serve, and you might think of other complementary type of businesses that also could be beneficial to your customers. It could even from a social media perspective, completely for free. Let's say you have a kayak company, and let's say here is a hotel company, or let's say over here is a restaurant, and you say, wow, they look like they're really on top of things. They're very consistently posting on Instagram. They have good content. You reach out to them and you say something along the lines of, hey, we're both serving a really similar target audience. I really like what you guys are doing on Instagram. I wonder if we could maybe collaborate, and maybe 2 or 3 times a month, we will just kind of like feature what you're doing to our audience. And likewise, you could do the same thing to ours. Now, you obviously want this to be a mutually beneficial collaboration, so you don't necessarily want to reach out to someone that looks like they haven't posted on social media in 5 months. But if you can say, hey, similar audiences, I am going to just say, here's our audience, here's their audience, and we serve a similar market. So it can just help you get exposure and eyeballs in front of someone else. And sometimes those collaborations can turn more into partnerships. It doesn't always have to have a financial backing to it, but you can work out all types of opportunities with other businesses. And we were talking about influencers with Ellie the other day, but influencers can be something that it's like this full-on official thing and you have the contract, but it also could literally just be looking around and saying, who in my community is doing a really great job? Who is someone that likes coming and using the types of services that we have, and just showing up on their page and engaging with them. Quick tip on social media, Facebook, for example. If you have a Facebook business page and there are, let's say, 15 brands or businesses that are in your same community that maybe offer a complimentary service, or even if it's the local newspaper or local media. Did you know that you can go to their Facebook business page and on a post that they have on their page that maybe has very popular, lots of engagement, that you can comment as your business in the comments for free. You don't have to ask permission, but you just want to make sure, obviously, what you're going to be saying is relevant. Or maybe somebody down the street has had success, or they won an award, or they got this in tourism. Then you can share that post onto your page and say, congratulations, we're so happy, or we're so excited for them. And when we realize that there are great things happening in our community and we acknowledge those people on social media, it can really create this really great collaborative type of culture among fellow businesses and brands. And then the last thing I just want to share is complementary services. And so you might have something that you do in your business that obviously is going to be something that you have a charge for. But if you do offer something and it's free, or maybe it's only free on Tuesdays, or it's like a special offer that's related to something that could be free to the end customer, then you want to spotlight those types of things on social media, because oftentimes what happens is even if someone is not necessarily interested in it right then for themselves, when they're scrolling real quickly on social media, it gets their attention and it makes them think of someone else they know that could benefit from it. And then they'll come and then they will tag that person and they'll say, hey, did you see that on Tuesdays they have this special offer on kayaking? If you bring your friend, that you both get to kayak for 50% off, or some type of other special offer. So I want to share with you guys a couple quick relationship tips in your blogging as well as on your social media content for your business. So the first one is be generous. I find that it builds trust and it really allows for you to stand out in people's eyes and makes a fantastic first impression. Have amazing offers. Have you ever seen an offer that you weren't impressed enough to actually take any action on? And then other times you saw an offer come up in your newsfeed. It said that the offer ended at midnight, and it was intriguing enough for you to go and get your credit card, or for you to go and get what you needed to be able to make that payment and to be able to make that purchase. And so you have to be the one that makes that decision to say, what is going to get someone to stop what they're doing to pay attention enough to say, this is an offer that I want to take advantage of. You want to differentiate why you are the right choice. I like to also think of it as maybe you have a favorite dessert. In the US, brownies, that would be a pretty popular thing that a lot of people like, or chocolate chip cookies. But in a whole room of chocolate chip cookies or in a whole room of brownies, what can you do to turn your brownie into a hot fudge brownie sundae with caramel topping and walnuts? What can you do to stand out? And so that's so true also as it relates to your business. You want to include content by other smart people. That includes influencers, partners, and those that you have great relationships with already. Now, a pro tip that I like to tell people, and I think this is so important as it relates to your social media, is it's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's actually who knows you. And so the more often times that you are showing up on social media and you are paying attention and you're being a part of that social media ecosystem, the more likely that you are going to be one that actually is seen of and thought of. And I don't know if it's just me, because I don't really think it is, but I will have people on social media post and they'll say, I'm looking for this. Does anybody I know have a suggestion or a recommendation? And people are wanting validation from people that they know when they're looking for something, whether it's a dentist or whether it's that they're looking for someone to build a fence in their backyard. And so when you can, as a business, have fantastic social proof, and you can have people that are going to social media and leaving reviews, and they are pulling out their camera on their own, taking pictures of themselves enjoying your facility or enjoying the tour, that then gets put on social media, and it then is able to be word of mouth that gets amplified 10x. So even while you're here at this event, a pro tip for everybody is that you want to make sure that you're capturing content while you are out and about and while you're on the go. Now, of course, I realize that it depends on what your business is and what your business model is, but every person is encouraged when they see that people are out trying to better themselves or they're being a part of the community. So you can, if you go to a breakfast or you go to a business luncheon and you're at a restaurant or you're at a hotel, you have a great dining experience, go engage with those brands on social media, because it's going to ultimately be a reflection that you're out and about, but it's also going to be a positive opportunity for you to give that great review. And I know everybody in this room right now, if there were 50 people that had a great experience with you in your brand, that you would also want people to come and to engage with your business and to give you that review. So this is just a quick screenshot to say that social media is a fantastic way for you to show up by saying thank you to people, for you to recognize others and great things and great people that are happening. Now, these are old. I don't even know if you guys can see the dates, but this one on the top left is from 2015. So I didn't just make this up just because I was coming to talk here with you guys. But that was where I went to like an entrepreneurial breakfast. And there were a lot of people there. I wasn't speaking. I was just an attendee at that event. And so I took several pictures of the event that was happening. I actually tagged the business location where the event was taking place. And then I posted it on my own personal Facebook page. It wasn't even my business. So for many of you all that might be here today, and you may be representing your brand, or you may be representing a hotel or something that you feel is much greater than yourselves, you can still take advantage of social media by just putting out the visibility that I am a business owner, or I am a leader, or I am over X, Y, and Z in our company. And it just shows that you're out and being in the community. And that speaks really well. Here on the bottom is in 2017, it was a workshop at a local educational institute. So it's, again, I tagged where I was located. I took a picture of myself outside of their brand new facility that they were very excited about. And then ultimately, I did post that on my own personal page, but I tagged the local school district, and then the local school district then shared my post onto their page that has thousands and thousands of followers. Because at the end of the day, I do these things because I have a philosophy of treat people the way that you would want to be treated. But at the end of the day, the positives that come out from this are I am able to get my content oftentimes in front of those businesses, because when you tag the business, the restaurant, the leader, the politician, whomever might be involved in what you went for, and you show up on social media having positive things to say, being an encourager, and really just kind of giving a small glimpse of what's going on, oftentimes those companies and those brands then share your post onto their feed, allowing their entire audience to also see it. So, attention grabbing content, a couple quick ideas for you. Be super specific when you are creating content for your ideal customers. And I talked about that earlier. But again, if you're not sure if you're trying to attract people that might be coming to visit to do yoga retreats, or if you're trying to capture people that have kids and they're looking for travel, those people in their normal lives absolutely will probably have some overlap, but you want to make sure that you are showing up in such a way that they feel that you're creating content that's like really going to resonate with them. And I always like to tell people on social media, you want to have content that makes people feel good. Nobody is going to follow your business because they feel bad for you. You have to actually let people know what's in it for them. Maybe they should follow you on Facebook because on Facebook you talk about special offers that you don't talk about anywhere else. Maybe you have special promotions. Maybe you have special ways that you highlight your customers, or you have giveaways and you don't do them anywhere else except for on social media. No, we're going to talk real quickly here that video is super smart. Video, photos, and then live video are fantastic ways for you to get more attention. And the really short answer is the social media platforms like it when you do video. So when you do something that they like, they oftentimes show it to more people so you can actually get your content in front of more people for free. So we already talked about educating, entertaining, and engaging. And always ask what's in it for your audience before you post. And again, that goes back to what I shared earlier with you guys about think like your customers. So if you want to see some data, 54% of consumers want to see more video from brands and businesses that they support. And then this is a really big number. 73% of consumers say that they have been influenced by brands before they make a purchase from social media. And that's a large number. So I really want you to know that people are going to social media, they're asking their friends, they're checking you out, they're reading the reviews, and they're seeing if you're relevant, if you're credible, and if other people have had a positive experience working with you. So as we get ready to wrap up, I want to share with you 5 things if you are currently doing video that I want you to include in all of your videos. And real quickly, I do not want you to think that I am encouraging you to think you have to have a camera crew. These tips can all be done by the videos that you can take by that awesome thing in your back pocket right now called a smartphone. Number 1, movement in your videos gets people's attention. So if you're making a video, it could possibly feel awkward, but if you can do some type of movement at the beginning of your video, it will get people's attention as they're scrolling. So even if it's as simple as, hey guys, I'm Heather, and today I'm going to share with you 3 ways on how you can use Twitter to get more people to retweet your comments. You just want to have some type of movement at the beginning of your video. Number 2, smile and tell the people what the video is about. It's really important that at the very beginning, before you say, I've got a doctorate in this, we have 17 awards in this, people are busy and they're giving you like seconds to see if they're going to watch the rest. And again, what's in it for the customer? So if the video is about tips for Instagram, if the video is about why people should come to your hotel, then you want to absolutely give that to them. Sorry, let me back up. Oop, wrong way. Oh my. Okay, I think it's getting worse. Okay. How do I go backwards? The bottom one? Oh, okay, now, okay. Yeah, I got this. So the other thing, number 3, is you want to give people the meat of the video. Like, what was the purpose? Share that information with them. You want to ask for engagement. That could be as simple as, hey guys, if you're having a chance to watch this video right now in the comments below, let me know if you're watching this on the replay, or let me know if you're here with us live. A call to action. Maybe at the end of your video, you want to encourage people to say, hey, if you found this to be really helpful, we'd love to let you know that we have a 20% off coupon that you can get access to by going to, xyandz.com website. Or, hey, did you know that we have this? Comment below if you'd like to learn more information. Some kind of directive at the end of your video that someone could take a next step, maybe not necessarily to pull out their credit card to do business with you, but to maintain a connection with you on social media. So this is simply to encourage. You could check in at this location of where we are if you post on social media. You can use the hashtag for this event. And then you, as a business, this is something that I cannot believe people do not do enough. But please make sure that the people that are answering telephones, the people that are engaging with customers, that they know where you are on social media. I will walk into restaurants and say, "Oh, are you guys on Instagram?" And the person looks back and says, "Oh, I have no idea." I'm like, "Well, that went well." So it's like there are people who love being social. They love including you in social media. And so if you have printed materials, please have your usernames on social media. So I'm just going to end today by letting you guys know that social media is awesome. But if you're going to blog and you don't like the idea of blogging, I want to share with you these 2 tips. One, you can pick a topic and you can find several blog posts that actually already exist that are really great about what it's going to be about, and give your blog post a great name. And then you can ultimately link in your blog post to those other great posts. So it could say something, for example, the only 7 posts you need to read about hotels in Kachi. Number 2, have an expert roundup asking key people or influencers in your community their opinion on one question, and give it an amazing title. The top 8 must-do tourist attractions when on vacation in Kerala. So I'm so thankful that you guys have had a chance to be here today. I hope that you feel encouraged and that you aren't scared of social media, but instead realize it's a way for you to amplify the fantastic things that you have going on in your business, and for you to get more people getting their eyeballs on what it is that you have to offer. Thank you. So, do we have anyone that has a question? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, ma'am, I just want to ask one thing. It's believed that around 15% of the population is differently abled. That is, right now we are promoting accessible tourism, even in Kerala. So, since yesterday, I've been seeing many of the talks, and I found that the social media, whatever is being promoted, is only for the abled, I mean to say, normal persons. Now, what is the step? What are the steps that could be taken by a tour operator or a person who is promoting a tourist or a destination for these people, for these differently abled persons? How can they get into a social media? How can they get get awareness, get information?
So I want to make sure I understand your questions. So are you saying specifically that the people might have like special
Yeah,
needs or disabilities?
yeah, that's what. Because right now, even in Kerala, we are promoting accessible tourism concept, because 15% of the population, they are interested in traveling, but they are unable to reach a particular destination because of any form of disability. So, social media could be a platform where they could be grouped. So, what steps could be taken to group these people also into the mainstream tourism so that we get business? That's what.
Absolutely. Well, I think that what you would want to think of is that as almost being a differentiator in the type of content that you could be posting about on social media. So if you wanted to, for example, say, we have accommodations that would make it be accessible for people that might have different disabilities or have different limitations, then you would want to highlight that and make that be a focal point in your content on social media. Mm-hmm. And then also, if you might know other businesses that they may also have maybe a complimentary service, you could almost make sure that you had a gathering of those other businesses, and you could all kind of complement one another and actually post one another's content and share it. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, Heather, one question. Uh, what about the timings? What are the appropriate timings for posting on different platforms?
Okay, so the general rule of thumb I have is letting people know that you should ultimately think of when mealtime is as a popular cadence of posting. So, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner in general. But I would ultimately guide people to say, go back and look at your analytics. So, for example, on Instagram, if you have a business page, you can look at your analytics and you can see when the most popular posts and how they're performing. The same is true for Facebook. You can look at your insights and it varies. So it's like for my businesses, 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. is like the most popular times. And so you can post varied amounts, but if you were, for example, to post twice a day, then I would say posting at like 8:30 in the morning and then posting again like 8:30 p.m. So if you had no data, go with when you eat because that's again, people are mindlessly scrolling on social media and they're oftentimes doing that as they're in preparation of meals, eating their meals, or just after their meals. And that's like a typical go-to time.
Okay, do we have any other questions? There. While the questions are going on, we would also like to bring your attention. You can send in your questions on the application as well.
Hi Heather, this is Deepak here. Just want to know whether reposts is repost a good way of marketing on Instagram, and if you're doing it, what are the standard operating procedures to do reposts of content which are similar to what you're doing?
Okay, so on Instagram, I do not have any apps or anything where I'm officially doing a repost of someone's content. I have found personally, if someone else's content that I thought would just be wildly popular or a good choice for me to use on my page, I will reach out to that person and say, hey, I love this photo. May I share it on my page? And 99% of the time, they say yes. So I literally just take a screenshot of it and I crop it and I post it on my page and ultimately tie in why I'm posting it to my page. And then I click the little photo emoji and then I do a personal link to that person, giving them photo credit of the photo. So that's personally what I do on Instagram for reposting someone else's content.
All right, let's give a big hand, everybody.